With an exceptional career spanning over 4 decades, numerous iconic albums, and a reputation for complex guitar work and energetic live performances, Metallica is considered one of the legends in rock music history. However, alongside their successes, the band's also found themselves in controversies left and right over the years. And one that's consistently talked about in the community is the allegations of riff plagiarism. Fans, critics, and even fellow musicians have continuously scrutinized Metallica's songs, with many thinking whether one of the most celebrated bands is guilty of plagiarism. Let's find out. Seek and Destroy, Princess of the Night by Saxon. One of the songs that many claim is plagiarized is one of Metallica's most famous songs. Seek and Destroy is one of the tracks from Metallica's debut album, Kill 'Em All. It was released in 1983 and is one of the most performed songs of the band to this day. However, many fans and critics alike have compared the riffs of Seek and Destroy to those of a song called Princess of the Night by Saxon. Saxon is an English heavy metal band and are considered one of the leaders of the new wave British heavy metal. Their song, Princess of the Night, was released just 2 years before Seek and Destroy. Many say that Metallica plagiarized Princess of the Night because both songs shared certain elements, such as the rhythm and aggressive guitar riffs. However, Metallica themselves haven't denied that they drew a lot of inspiration from British bands like Saxon and Diamond Head. In fact, although they didn't talk about Princess of the Night, they've admitted that they borrowed Seek and Destroy from another band. Lars Ulrich once said in an interview that if Seek and Destroy is borrowed from any Diamond Head song, it's Dead Reckoning. It greatly inspired Seek and Destroy, shall we say. The God That Failed, Dawn Patrol by Megadeth. The God That Failed is a 1991 song by Metallica that was written about James Hetfield's grief over his mother's passing after refusing medical attention due to her religious beliefs. The song's inception started with guitarist Kirk Hammett having a whole thing worked out, but it didn't fit the band because the lead was too bluesy. They eventually improved on that, creating Kirk's work an octave higher. However, the song was heavily criticized by fans and music enthusiasts due to its sound being almost the same as Megadeth's Dawn Patrol. Dawn Patrol was released a year prior to The God That Failed. Even fans who insisted that Metallica doesn't plagiarize any of their songs believe that the two songs sound way too alike. Neither band spoke out about the two similarities of the two songs, so it may have just been a coincidence. Or maybe the fact that Dave Mustaine came from Metallica had something to do with their songs sounding similar to each other. The Four Horsemen, Sweet Home Alabama by Lynyrd Skynyrd. Anyone who's talking about Metallica Stealing Riffs knows about the Four Horsemen and Sweet Home Alabama. The Four Horsemen is a classic track from Metallica's debut album, Kill 'Em All, while Sweet Home Alabama is one of Lynyrd Skynyrd's most iconic songs. The Four Horsemen was written by Dave Mustaine primarily. However, with this one song, they really did take something from another song. When the band was working on the tune, they wanted a slowed down section in the middle of the song to change things up. This then turned to the slow bridge that connects the two halves of the song. That bridge part was really Dave just making fun of Lynyrd Skynyrd. During the rehearsal of the song, Dave jokingly played the classic song, and Lars, not knowing about Sweet Home Alabama at the time, said they should use it for the song. It may not seem like an exact rip-off of the song, but listening to the songs back-to-back and knowing the backstory, you can really connect the dots. Of course, this was Metallica's first album, so influences from other bands were still heavy in their songs. Enter Sandman, Tapping Into the Emotional Void by Excel. Imagine releasing a song in 1989, only for it to boom in 1991, and only because of rumors that a bigger band ripped you off. This is what happened with the California-based thrash band Excel. Excel found a boom in the plays of their song Tapping Into the Emotional Void after the release of the Black Album. This is because many fans and critics noticed that the intro and riff of Excel's song were very similar to Enter Sandman. The band even considered filing a lawsuit but decided against it, realizing that it would only drain them of their resources. If something reaches that point, then maybe some kind of plagiarism did happen. However, Metallica's co-manager at the time, Cliff Bernstein, said that he never heard of the Excel song, saying the similarities are just coincidences. Enter Sandman, Get Stoned by Stone. If you thought the controversy surrounding Enter Sandman ended with Excel's song, you're wrong. Another song that was allegedly copied by Metallica was Get Stoned by the Finnish heavy metal band Stone. Some riffs in the interval are similar between both songs, and considering that the Stone song was released 3 years earlier, many concluded that Metallica plagiarized that song. However, when asked about Enter Sandman, the members of Stone only laughed it off and chalked it up to coincidence. They even admitted that Metallica had a strong influence on their music too. Call of Cthulhu, Hey You by Pink Floyd. Call of Cthulhu isn't one of the most well-known Metallica songs out there, but it's one of the best instrumentals from a metal band. However, it wasn't free of the speculation of plagiarism. Call of Cthulhu was released in 1984 and was immediately compared to Pink Floyd's Hey You, which was released in 1979. The main similarity between the two songs was in the opening parts. The intro of both songs, according to many fans, were eerily similar. Only Metallica's Call of Cthulhu was a little faster. Since Call of Cthulhu wasn't as big as other Metallica songs, there wasn't as much discussion or backlash. Neither band said anything about the similarities either. Welcome Home Sanitarium, Rainbow Warrior by Bleak House. It's no secret that James and Lars are big fans of NWO BHM, so naturally, these bands have influenced Metallica's music too. However, there's really one band that blew up thanks to Metallica's plagiarism. Bleak House experienced a small surge in popularity after the release of Metallica's Welcome Home Sanitarium, which was released in 1986. If you look at Bleak House's song Rainbow Warrior, the main riff really has a striking resemblance to Metallica's song, down to the exact licks that only changed a little bit. Bleak House could have easily sued Metallica for their very obvious plagiarism of their song, but that's not what happened. Like Excel, Bleak House didn't want to go through the rabbit hole of lawsuits. They were just happy with the amount of popularity they got after the release of Welcome Home Sanitarium. Maybe copying the riffs was James and Lars' way of keeping the music of their favorite bands alive. For Whom the Bell Tolls, Fairies Wear Boots by Black Sabbath. Any bass player has heard the riff For Whom the Bell Tolls because it's one of the songs where Cliff Burton stands out. With Cliff's riff, he earned a different kind of respect and attention. However, something else about the song gained attention from fans and critics alike. Metallica's For Whom the Bell Tolls received a fair amount of backlash because it had a very similar feel to Black Sabbath's Fairies Wear Boots. The two songs had a more bluesy vibe. However, the part that seemed like it was copied from Black Sabbath was the main lick of For Whom the Bell Tolls throughout the song. The song really lingered on that same riff for a big chunk of the song. The similarities in the songs didn't seem to bother Black Sabbath at all, as the band never said anything about For Whom the Bell Tolls. Metallica could have just been pulling inspiration from the pioneers of the genre. In the rock music industry, the controversy surrounding allegations of Metallica's plagiarism and riff stealing has been a persistent and intriguing topic of discussion. However, there is no clear proof that Metallica stole from the bands for their songs. It's important to remember that the world of music is interconnected, and musicians draw from a wide range of influences. Regardless of whether you believe these instances are acts of stealing or just musical evolution, it's a reminder that even the biggest bands draw inspiration and ideas from other bands, and that music definitely connects people across genres and generations.